Well, the one-child policy is being phased out, but you know,
We'll come back to you on the other side. I'm going to give you the floor. We'd love to hear from you. I love your perspective. This is the Alex Jones Show. You go to InfoWars.com right now and check out Loose Change, Final Cut, or Fabled Enemies. We'll be back after this. Ask and you shall receive, Benjamin. Alex has called in. He just can't get away from that radio. He loves to listen in. So, Alex, you have the floor.
Hey, guys. No, I'm the one that told my producer to get Benjamin back on. I like Mr. Fulford. And I'm here getting ready to go to Denver, packing up and taking care of business with a show in the background. And I think it's been misrepresented what I say and what I do. A similar thing is what Tarpley did last year when I had former CIA section chief and Black Op commander E. Howard Hunt's son on, St. John Hunt, and he released that tape on our show, and Rolling Stone also covered it, just saying as far as he knew, the chain of command went all the way to President LBJ. And people said, oh, Alex says it went to LBJ and no higher. No, that's a misrepresentation. With our witness and the tape and the written transcripts and affidavits, he's saying that's as high as his chain of command went. So that's as high, like in a mob organization, if we were investigating it, as high as our investigation went. Obviously, we know LBJ was a puppet to big banks in Texas Oil and a lot more. Now, on the subject of China, China has medical firms that advertise they sell organs. They carried out the attacks in Tiananmen Square. Now, it's true China doesn't have as many face scanning cameras, though they're putting in national ID cards. The Chinese government's announced that, People's Daily. And so the West has a bigger grid in place, a police state grid and secret police. They just haven't started the mass arrests and executions. But, I mean, you can go to Chinese government websites with the public executions and the lining the people up and shooting them in the work camps. Now, is China generally as bad as we're told? Certainly not. I've never even been to China. I've just interviewed hundreds and hundreds of experts, people who are even pro-China. I've had a lot of guests on, like yourself, Mr. Fulford, that tell us all about it. Us troglodytes over here that have never been around the world. The point is that instead of this, I mean, I understand you are the authority, but you're a guest here, and so we just have you here to give attention to your website and what you're doing. We're not spreading CIA disinformation. I mean, I say Putin's bad. I say China's bad. Iran does a lot of bad things. Most governments are evil and corrupt. So we're not saying U.S. good, China bad here. And so that's my bottom line. I mean, you say they're not harvesting organs. I mean, that's just not true.
Well, no, they used to be doing it. Okay, that's a fact, and they investigated it once it was reported, and they put an end to it. But their original thinking was, well, this guy's going to be executed anyway. Why don't we take his organs? But then there was some corruption, and there was an investigation. You got to remember, it's a country of 1.3 billion people, and a lot of funky stuff will happen among that many people.
No, I know, and the Chinese government says Mao was bad and evil, and his wife was bad, and they imprisoned her, and most Americans don't know that, for killing 60 million. I know China's gone through changes. I know your buddies will.
Imagine if you were during Mao's era, you could not choose what you wore. You could not choose what you read for information. And you could not choose where you lived or what job you did, okay? That was how it was a real police state. And that... No,
Benjamin, I'm just saying I know history. I knew you'd say that, and that's true. So our modern image of China is the Great Leap Forward, the Cultural Revolution, the Little Red Book. They're becoming a more high-tech grid like we are. You're right, for a while, I mean, they've had riots there, as you know, when they put surveillance cameras in. The farmers with pitchforks are beating armed police. So I'm not disagreeing with you. I don't know who told you that I was saying that,
Okay, anyway, look, the fact is that it is not a democracy. However, the people who now run the show, they're the direct heirs of Deng Xiaoping and Zhou Enlai, okay? Mm-hmm. Now, Zhou Enlai was a member of the secret society, and they have beliefs that are very, very similar to Christianity, and they want to help the weakest and the strong and the poorest. And the fact is that, for the vast majority of the Chinese, life has gotten a lot better over the past 20 years.
No, I know it has. And are you saying that it's the same secret society that launched the Boxer Rebellion?
Well, yes. I mean, what you have in China, it's a very interesting situation. They've always had an official public worldview, like the mainstream media have in the U.S. but they've also had a secret worldview that has been opposed to it. And they've had this for thousands of years. And so when the official view becomes too out of touch with the people, there is a massive peasant revolt. There has been throughout history. And
that also happened in the Middle Ages in Europe, peasant revolts. That's what castles were built, of course, to protect against the local serfs for the nobility. Look, I'm going to let you go, Benjamin. I just, all I've done is help you out, so I guess I'm evil.
But I will invite you to China. I'll arrange for you to have all sorts of access if you ever decide to make a trip to China, okay?
Yeah. Well, listen, I'm going to let Burma's take it back over, folks. You guys take care.
All right, we'll be back after this, Infowars.com. All right, folks, we are back. It's the Alex Jones Show. I'm Jason Burma sitting in with Benjamin Fulford. And, Benjamin, I want to get your take on where China's power is going to be in the world, because I see them on a grander stage now after the Olympics. What do you think? I mean, Tarpley's one to say that our next big conflict is going to be with China. I hope that's not the case. I want to get your take on it.
I was obsessed with the idea as a youth that World War III would be between the West and China. I was sure of it. That's why I came over here when I was 19, and that was 28 years ago. So I've been living in Asia this much time. I speak Chinese and Japanese, and I've been visiting China. I went all over, and talked to their leaders and leaders in Japan. After all that time, I have come to the conclusion that China is not a threat. Mm-hmm. You got to think of China like a beautiful woman or a handsome man who wants to have children with you and make love to you, and they'll only hurt you if you hurt them first. And that is something that, I didn't come to immediately. It took me decades of studying the place and being there to understand this. Mm-hmm. So from that perspective, and I think if you talk to anybody who's been out here for 20 years or speaks the language, they'll agree with you. They're not a threat. Mm-hmm. They really are not. And the regime that was under Mao was a New World Order type regime controlled by the Illuminati, and the current regime is not. That much also I guarantee you. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying they're perfect. There's a lot of problems there, but right now, I'll be honest with you, I'd rather live in China than I would in the U.S.
Well, things are getting pretty scary in the United States. There's no doubt about it. I mean, we'll see what happens at the DNC, but it looks like it's going to be martial law there.
Well, here's what's happening with the United States, and this is very, very important. This is one of the reasons I wanted to talk to you people, is that on September 30th, okay, that's about a month from now, mm-hmm. the United States government is going to go bankrupt, according to many sources of mine. It's the end of the fiscal year for the U.S. government, and the Bush regime and the neo-Nazi faction that you know as neocons are cornered, okay? They are in deep trouble. They have been isolated from the rest of the secret government of the West, and they're saying to them, look, you've stolen a bunch of money from England, you've stolen a bunch of money from Europe, you've stolen a bunch of money from the whole world, and you have until September 30th to pay back. They don't have that money, and they're hoping to use that occasion of bankruptcy to start martial law in the United States. And they have 190,000 mercenaries working for Blackwater who earn $1,000 a day, who are going to be the troops who are supposed to impose martial law in the United States. Now, the whole world is concerned about this, and I'm very concerned about this. And there are a lot of forces who are lining up to try to stop this from happening in the U.S. Now, they tried to start World War III over Iran, and that didn't work. Now the talk is that they're going to try to provoke Russia into attacking Poland. And they put these outdated Patriot missile defenses in Poland as a provocation. But the real story is they want the Russians to attack so that they can unleash their Star Wars weaponry they have in space. And they want a few Russian nukes to get through before they start this whole, operation of pulverizing Russia. But in other words, they are people who have survived by fomenting wars and selling weapons, and they are cornered, and the only way they can think of getting themselves out of the hole they're in is to start World War III. So the important thing is not to give them any excuse to start World War III. We have to get them to step aside peacefully. And to all those Blackwater mercenaries, I would like to say right now, if you really want to kill your own people, go ahead and do so. But we'll offer you twice the pay twice what they're paying you to stop them. That's an offer. You come to China, Mr. Head of Blackwater, whatever, we'll pay your mercenaries double, not to impose martial law on behalf of the Bush Nazi faction.
Well, it's definitely going to be a privatized military faction that does so if they do declare martial law in this country. I'm quite alarmed by the fact that Halliburton moved their main base of operations out of the United States and into Dubai. Do you think that these people will start to leave the country before this disaster happens? You're saying September 30th.